Jimmy Butler is one of the hardest working and determined players in the entire NBA, and his number one goal is always to win. He was drafted with very few expectations and was projected to maybe become a good role player throughout his career, but because of how hard he works on his game year in and year out, he has become one of the best wing players in the whole league on both offense and defense. He demands greatness from himself and those around him, so when he sees that his teammates aren't working as hard as he is and seem to not care as much about winning, then he naturally becomes understandably irritated. This summer, that is exactly what happened with his Minnesota Timberwolves teammates, as Andrew Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns' lack of defensive production and effort have seemingly pushed him over the edge. According to Woj, Butler has officially requested a trade to a new team. He's looking for a fresh start on a new team where he can sign a contract for the foreseeable future, which brings us to the topic of today's video. Today, we'll be going over the top 5 destinations for Butler in terms of both where he could find the most success for the rest of his career and whether or not those teams can realistically acquire him in a trade. Before I start though, make sure to subscribe to the channel as all support is very much appreciated. Now with that being said, let's begin. Up first is the Brooklyn Nets, who may sound like an odd choice, but when you dive deeper into their situation moving forward, things start to make a lot more sense. Jimmy Butler has reportedly given a list of a few teams that he would re-sign with if he were to be traded there, and the Nets were on this list for a reason. The team has been in misery and ruin for quite a few years now, with very little hope of improvement until recently. The infamous trade between them and the Boston Celtics, where they gave up all of their first-round picks for many years in a row, set them back quite a bit, but the summer of 2019 is where things can finally turn around for them. Next offseason, the Nets will have almost their entire roster coming off the books, meaning that they will have a ton of cap space to spend. They can afford 2 big contracts and then some, and assuming Butler takes up one of those contracts, they can then attract another big name to team up with him. That big name would probably be Kyrie Irving, as they have allegedly been planning to team up sometime in the future for a while now. Irving is a free agent next summer as well, and would be very tempted to join Butler in Brooklyn. In order to get this trade done, the Nets have some pieces to give away. D'Angelo Russell could be on the table because he's good friends with Towns, so he would be very likely to re-sign if he were traded there. Plus, the Wolves are in need of a point guard as well. Other players, such as Rondae Hollis-Jefferson and DeMarre Carroll, would be on the table as well, along with Caris LeVert. The next destination that could pull off a trade for Butler on this list is the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers signed LeBron James this offseason, and everyone knows LeBron is always looking to bolster the rosters around him, and adding Butler would certainly do so. There are no true stars on the Lakers roster at the moment outside of LeBron, which is a big reason why many were so surprised by LeBron's decision to go there as a free agent in the first place. Many chalked it up to LeBron making a decision for his family and choosing the lifestyle of Los Angeles, where he can focus on his career outside of basketball as well, but he still does have plenty of basketball left in him. The Lakers have a ton of cap space next summer, so they have been rumored to be wanting to go after another big name then, but they might consider trading for Butler now and locking him into the team. The only issue with that is that they would have to give up more than they would want to give up in a trade, which is why out of all the teams I'll discuss in this video, the Lakers are probably the least likely to trade for him. In order to make money work, the Lakers would have to include Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball in the trade, and I highly doubt that they would want to do that. They can't trade any of the players that they signed to one-year deals this offseason until December either, so that limits them even further. Because of this, expect the Lakers to probably wait until next summer to make any big moves, because making a trade would be too costly for them in the long run. The third possible trade destination for Jimmy Butler is the other Los Angeles team, the Clippers. The Clippers are going into this season with modest expectations and a mediocre roster, and they might be able to sneak in the playoffs as an 8 seed, but it is unlikely. If they trade for Butler, however, things would change drastically for them. The Clippers have plenty of trade pieces at their disposal, including Danilo Gallinari, Avery Bradley, Tobias Harris, Patrick Beverley, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and their draft picks. Why would the Clippers want to give any of that up for Butler, though, you might be wondering? Well, the Clippers were actually also on the list of teams that Butler said he would reportedly re-sign with if they were to trade for him, so the risk of adding him for only one season before leaving in free agency isn't there. Additionally, after a trade would go through for Butler, the Clippers would still have enough cap space in the 2019 offseason to add another big name to the team. Like the Nets, the Clippers could add Kyrie Irving as well, which is what Butler probably very much wants to happen. They would be even more of the tempting destination for Irving as well because of the role players that would be remaining, such as Lou Williams, who are much better than what the Nets could provide alongside those two. The fourth possible landing spot for Jimmy Butler in a trade is the New York Knicks. The Knicks as a franchise have been stuck in the lottery for the last few years now and haven't been serious contenders since the 90s. The Big Apple is one of the biggest markets in the league, if not the biggest market, and the NBA is just simply more fun to watch when the Knicks are good. They were also on the list of teams that Butler said he would re-sign with long-term if they were to trade for him, like the Clippers and Nets, and they are probably the most talented team of those three. He may be injured at the moment, but Kristaps Porzingis is one of the most uniquely talented young players in the entire NBA, and his potential is sky high. He's 7'3", with a silky smooth jumper out to the three-point line, great ball handling skills for a big man, can operate in the post, and protects the rim on defense. Barring health issues, he should become one of the best players in the league in the next few years. The Knicks also just drafted two young players that are extremely promising in Kevin Knox and Mitchell Robinson. Knox is a forward that can create offense for himself off the dribble, attacks the rim hard, and can pull up and hit jumpers, and his offensive game has loads of potential. Inversely, Robinson is a center that can play alongside Porzingis as the other big man on the floor and protect the rim and excel in the pick and roll. The Knicks are reportedly going to part ways with Joakim Noah soon, so what would be a better place to send him than to his old coach who loves to add former Bulls players but current Timberwolves coach Tom Thibodeau. Noah and Tibbs go way back, and he might be tempted to take him along with a few other assets in return for Butler. Then, once that happens, the Knicks have the ability to clear enough cap space this summer to add Kyrie Irving in free agency too, and everybody wins, leading to New York becoming a serious contender in the East once again. The final team on this list of teams that could add Butler through a trade may not have reportedly been on the list of teams that he would re-sign with, but if they were to trade for him, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they pulled a Paul George in Oklahoma City and convinced him to re-sign anyway after a year of playing together. This team is the Philadelphia 76ers. The Sixers have two players that are quickly becoming superstars in the league before our very eyes very early into their careers, in Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. And with Jimmy Butler, they would be right up there with Boston and Toronto as the best teams in the East. Butler's priority has seemingly always been about winning, and players that care about making the team better on both ends of the floor, and both Simmons and Embiid are excellent two-way players. Simmons proved that he was one of the most versatile defenders in the NBA last year, capable of guarding point guards through power forwards, and Embiid just came in second place in the Defensive Player of the Year voting because he's one of the very best rim protectors in the whole NBA. The Sixers could offer Robert Covington, who was first-team All-Defense last season, and the Miami Heat first-round pick in 21 for Butler. This would give the Wolves an immediate contributor that plays defense, which Coach Tom Thibodeau would love, and a draft pick in the first draft that high school players will be eligible to be drafted in again, since 2004. Overall, though, these 5 teams would greatly benefit from adding Butler to their teams, and now we get to play the waiting game in anticipation for future excitement. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content coming soon. Follow me on Twitter at hoopsreference as well, and on that note, I'll see you all next video.